Welcome to our U300A Middle East Briefing U300B program. Today, we're diving into a mix of unfolding stories that have caught the world's attention. First off, the Canton Fair in China is buzzing more than usual with overseas buyers. It seems the fear of trade sanctions has sparked a shopping spree, leaving Chinese exporters wondering why the sudden influx of foreign faces. Moving on, the literary world is in a bit of a stir after PEN America had to cancel its annual awards ceremony. The reason? A significant boycott by writers protesting in solidarity with Gaza, leading to a heated debate on freedom of speech versus political stance. Lastly, we're shedding light on a more somber note regarding the conditions of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. Reports of unexplained deaths, including bruises and broken ribs, have surfaced, raising serious human rights concerns. Please stay tuned for the detailed content on these stories. In an era where global events shape the local markets in unexpected ways, the China Import and Export Fair, commonly known as the Canton Fair, has witnessed a surprising influx of overseas buyers, leaving many Chinese exporters scratching their heads and asking, why so many foreigners? According to the South China Morning Post, this surge in foreign importers might be attributed to a variety of factors, including the need to restock and even to front-load inventories in anticipation of potential trade sanctions on Chinese products. Traditionally seen as a barometer for China's export health and a reflection of its progress up the industrial chain, this year's Canton Fair broke from tradition. Unlike previous years where guests had to proactively reach out to attendees, this year saw attendees queuing up for them, signaling a significant shift in the dynamics of international trade and highlighting the global community's evolving reliance on Chinese manufacturing. Meanwhile, in the world of literary and cultural expression, a different kind of global reaction unfolded. The BBC reported that the annual award ceremony for the literary group PEN America was cancelled after a significant number of writers withdrew in protest over the war in Gaza. This boycott came about because 9 out of the 10 writers nominated for a PEN Book Award, along with 28 out of 61 authors and translators nominated for a prize, pulled out of the contest. They cited the group's alleged lack of support for Palestinian writers as their reason for withdrawal. In response to this unprecedented boycott, PEN America condemned the loss of life in Gaza and announced the creation of a $100,000 fund dedicated to supporting Palestinian writers. The cancellation of the awards ceremony, initially scheduled for April 29, underscores the profound impact of geopolitical conflicts on cultural and literary communities worldwide. The situation in Gaza and the broader Israeli-Palestinian conflict also cast a shadow over human rights concerns, particularly regarding the treatment of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. The BBC shed light on the alarming conditions faced by these prisoners, as reported by the Palestinian Authority's Commission of Detainees Affairs. Since Hamas attacked Israel in October 2014, the Commission claims that the condition of Palestinian prisoners has significantly deteriorated, leading to 13 deaths in custody. These deaths were attributed to beatings or the denial of medication, raising serious questions about the treatment of detainees. Despite the Israeli Prison Service's denial of mistreatment, stating that all prisoners are held in accordance with the law, a report by Professor Danny Rosen from Physicians for Human Rights suggests that severe beatings contributed to the deaths of these prisoners. The Commission further alleges that the Israeli Prison Service subjected prisoners to starvation, thirst, regular beatings, and the denial of medication, especially after the outbreak of war in Gaza, when prisons reportedly went into emergency mode. These diverse stories, spanning from the bustling halls of the Canton Fair to the solemn protests of literary figures and the grim reports of human rights abuses, paint a complex picture of our interconnected world. They highlight how global events, whether in the realm of trade, cultural expression, or human rights, can have far-reaching impacts, influencing international relations, economic strategies, and the collective conscience of the global community. As we navigate these turbulent waters, the importance of dialogue, empathy, and a commitment to universal human rights remains ever more critical. In the bustling world of culinary arts, where chefs tirelessly seek to reinvent traditional dishes, Kim Do-yoon stands out not just for his exceptional skills but for his quirky passion for noodles. As the mastermind behind Yun Seoul, a one-Michelin star restaurant nestled in the heart of South Korea, Kim has garnered attention not just for his culinary expertise but for his eccentric obsession with ingredients. According to the South China Morning Post, this weirdo chef has amassed a collection of over 500 ingredients, some of which have been meticulously aged for up to 7 years. Kim's journey is not merely about crafting exquisite dishes but about embarking on a mission to introduce healthier versions of beloved Korean noodles to diners. His dedication extends beyond the kitchen. he dreams of establishing a research lab and museum dedicated to showcasing the rich diversity of Korean cuisine and its ingredients. Through his innovative approach, Kim aims to elevate the Korean dining experience, blending tradition with a touch of modernity. Meanwhile, in the financial world, the landscape of initial public offerings, IPOs, is undergoing a significant shift, particularly for Chinese firms. The South China Morning Post reports that the Chinese market regulator, the China Securities Regulatory Commission, CSRC, has taken steps that are expected to divert scores of mainland firms' IPOs to Hong Kong. This move comes in the wake of tightened listing rules in China and the CSRC's measures to support IPOs in Hong Kong, signaling a strategic pivot towards the vibrant financial hub. By facilitating listings in Hong Kong for major Chinese companies and expanding the Stock Connect cross-border investment scheme, the CSRC aims to bolster Hong Kong's IPO market. These measures not only solidify Hong Kong's status as a premier destination for listings but also promise to widen the Stock Connect mechanism, introducing more products and trading counters in the city. This strategic maneuver by the CSRC is poised to reshape the landscape of fundraising and investment in the region, highlighting the dynamic interplay between regulatory policies and market trends. On a different note, the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, under the leadership of Republican Representative Jim Jordan, has found itself embroiled in a quest for transparency and accountability following a tragic incident involving the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, ATF. As reported by the Associated Press, the committee is seeking detailed information from the ATF regarding a raid at the home of Brian Malinowski, the executive director of the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in Little Rock, Arkansas. The operation, which was aimed at serving a search warrant for Malinowski's alleged involvement in reselling firearms without a dealer's license, culminated in a shootout that led to Malinowski's death. Representative Jordan has raised questions about the protocols followed by the ATF during the raid, expressing concerns over the justification of using deadly force for Malinowski's alleged violation. This incident has sparked a broader dialogue on the enforcement practices of federal agencies and the imperative for oversight to ensure that such operations are conducted with the utmost regard for human life and legal standards. These stories, ranging from the culinary ambitions of a Michelin-starred chef in South Korea to the strategic shifts in IPO markets and the scrutiny of federal law enforcement practices in the United States, underscore the diverse tapestry of global news. Each narrative, while distinct in its domain, reflects the broader themes of innovation, strategic adaptation, and the quest for accountability that resonate across borders and industries. In a world where the spotlight often shifts rapidly from one crisis to another, the enduring issues of human rights violations remain a constant, troubling backdrop. Recent reports and statements from the U.S. State Department and independent panels have brought to light the concerning state of human rights across various regions, including Israel, Gaza, the West Bank, and China's Xinjiang region. According to the Washington Post, the U.S. has voiced serious concerns over the escalating human rights situation amidst the conflict between Israel and Hamas. The U.S. State Department's report sheds light on the grim reality of unlawful killings attributed to both sides of the conflict. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has pointed out the particularly distressing human rights issues arising from the October 7 attacks, which claimed over 1,200 lives, and the subsequent civilian casualties during Israel's military response in Gaza. Despite these alarming findings, the U.S. has not indicated any plans to suspend military aid to Israel, leaving many to question the effectiveness of international pressure in curbing human rights abuses. In an effort to address the neutrality and integrity of the UN agency aiding Palestinian refugees, known as UNRWA, an independent panel has put forth several key recommendations, as reported by the Associated Press. This initiative comes in the wake of allegations by Israel that some of UNRWA's staff in Gaza were involved in Hamas attacks. Among the suggested measures are the establishment of a working group focused on neutrality and integrity, the regular sharing of staff lists with host countries and Israel, and the adoption of a zero-tolerance policy towards school textbooks promoting discrimination or incitement to hatred. These recommendations aim to foster a more neutral and effective UNRWA, capable of providing crucial support to Palestinian refugees without being compromised by political conflicts. Turning our gaze to China, the South China Morning Post highlights Antony Blinken's denouncement of the treatment of Uyghurs in Xinjiang as genocide and crimes against humanity. This stark condemnation comes ahead of Blinken's planned visit to Beijing, where he intends to address the issue directly with the Chinese government. The U.S. State Department's annual Human Rights Report offers a scathing critique of China's human rights record, not only concerning the Uyghurs but also regarding the transnational repression of the Chinese diaspora and the diminishing political freedoms in Hong Kong. Despite China's steadfast denial of these accusations, the international community continues to grapple with how best to respond to these egregious human rights violations. These reports and statements underscore the complex and often politically charged nature of addressing human rights abuses worldwide. From the conflict-ridden regions of Israel and Gaza to the contentious issue of Uyghur treatment in Xinjiang, the struggle to protect human rights and ensure accountability for violations remains a daunting challenge. As the international community deliberates on the most effective strategies for upholding human rights standards, the stories of those affected by these violations serve as a poignant reminder of the human cost of inaction and the urgent need for concerted efforts to foster justice and peace. President Joe Biden has voiced his strong condemnation of the recent anti-Semitic protests at Columbia University, sparked by the conflict in Gaza, which left many Jewish students feeling threatened. In his statement, he balanced his criticism with an acknowledgement of the Palestinian situation, emphasizing the complexity of the emotions involved. To combat this rising tide of anti-Semitism, Biden highlighted his administration's efforts, including the establishment of a program aimed specifically at addressing these issues on college campuses. This initiative builds on actions taken last year to fight anti-Semitism in academic environments. The situation escalated to the point where Columbia University's president, Manoush Shafik, felt compelled to call on the New York Police Department for assistance, leading to the arrest of around 100 students involved in the demonstrations. It's important to note that Columbia is not alone in facing such challenges. Similar protests have occurred at other prestigious institutions, including Tulane University, Yale, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, indicating a broader issue that needs addressing at the national level. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.